Hello everyone! Happy Friday! It is Adam here. Heather's picking up some pesto. Actually, before we do this Q&A, I thought I should show you what I got going on tonight. So let me flip the camera around after I get my document open here. I don't think I made a video about this, but I did some photos for my blog, and I've been working on doing more sous vide. So the first few weeks I was just focused on steak. Steak and I think did some asparagus, some broccoli, some Brussels sprouts, potatoes. But I was doing it in this guy, the my mock tripod until my tripod from Florida arrives from UPS. But I was using this guy and it was just horribly inefficient. And I couldn't tell once one of the bags got stuck into the puller here, the circulation, and I didn't know it for like half an hour. So now I've got this Rubbermaid container off Amazon. It's a food safe container. And then I've got a sous vide sort of compatible lid to keep the heat in. I'm using towels because towels are actually helping considerably. And we're doing chicken breast today. Chicken breast with garlic, olive oil, salt, pepper, and a bit of pesto. And then after that's done for 2 hours, we'll do the asparagus and some simple rice. No big deal. So let's start the video though, because everyone was like, you know, tuning in for a video about VW stuff, and all of a sudden we're other stuff. And I got a private message the other day that said, dude, if you're starved for content, you know, just don't post videos. But it's almost becoming anytime I do a new endeavor. So back in the day I started blogging or when I started tweeting or anything I take up, it becomes like a prolific 4 or 5 years of it, and then I wind down and kind of get normalized. Like I do still blog every day, but it's small little posts linking to other websites or linking to articles that I like a lot, and then once a week I'll do a big article. So that's kind of what's going to happen with YouTube eventually. And you guys do notice that some of the content kind of went slower over the winter time for obvious reasons. So here's what happened. I got a few questions actually. Adam, hey, why aren't you on Vortex anymore? VW Vortex. And the first thing that happened was so a Vortex group, whoever bought the Vortex group, is it's a free website to use. They don't take money from us. We are the product, and those websites, they sell some apparel. Mostly they sell advertisements or sponsors. Sponsors can buy a forum, and they get rights to advertise products and get a couple sticky threads and that kind of thing. They are the customers, and just like Google, you're the product, the advertisers are the customers. So Google's going to look out for the advertisers first because that's what pays the bills. And I had an experience 3 occasions, and if you look at my post history and like cross-reference ECS, you'll see that I had 3 occasions where ECS had low quality or just didn't stand by their work or made claims that weren't true, especially the assembled by ECS category of things. So what ended up happening was the straw for me for this leg of why I stopped posting there was that Andy at ECS replied to my thread about the dipstick they sold and marketed as fully compatible or fully similar to what the OEM dipstick is. Andy commented using a few emojis or avatars, basically indicating that I'm full of shit and I'm taking crazy pills. He did some sort of like this motion avatar, like I'm crazy. ECS admitted over email that their dipstick is shorter. They confirmed the shortcomings privately, but that thread completely fell apart, and no one ever, ECS never came forward and said, we acknowledge that it's a shorter product, but here's how it works. And I stopped using the product. They won't take the return. It was $49. I stopped using it. I went back to the OEM dipstick. I put the billet aluminum one in for car shows, but I don't use it. It stays in my trunk. And I stopped buying from ECS after spending $2 grand with them in 6 months. I stopped buying from them completely about 9 months ago now. And that was the final issue. I had lots of issues with them before then, but I just, they wouldn't stand by their product. And then on a public forum, they call me crazy. Really unprofessional and really shitty of them. So, fuck those guys. The second thing that happened was I had started reporting users In my other life, I do a lot of other hobbies, and in a previous life that I'm still kind of in, which is my beer hobby, I sold some beer on eBay. A lot of people were doing it at the time. Dozens of people a day were selling beer on eBay. eBay stopped doing it, stopped allowing it. After I worked with a couple of brewers to like, I have a friend at eBay who's a community manager. He may still not be there anymore. Anyway, I reached out to him and I said, you know, a lot of brewers are up in arms about this. Let's work together and figure out what we can do. And I was one of the people that helped stop it, even though I had once sold 9 beers on eBay. As most of you know, I'm pretty public. I use my real name, and it was pretty easy to figure out that I was the person selling the beer. So it was just a kind of, it wasn't really embarrassing. It was just sort of, you know, I screwed up. I was very new to the hobby. It was 2012. I just started joining Rate Beer. Anyway, there's a group of 5 or 6 guys that continue to berate me. They just keep it up. It's constant. I mean, every day I get a Google alert of someone using my name from a beer forum or beer blog or beer website, just talking shit about me, even though I haven't been active on those forums in years. But so though one of the 2 of those guys had jumped onto this VW site and started making fun of my beer hobby. I reported the users. I messaged the PMs. Red Baron was one of them, and I didn't get a response to those. And then I mentioned to them, you know, I know I'm a big poster over there. I just don't really think I can participate in the community if you guys aren't going to remove users. And their response was basically, the community will work it out. If the community shits on them and they leave, then it works itself out. We're not going to ban users for being dicks. So I left. You know, if you want a community, you've got to have positivity. And you know, there was a whole 10 threads of people just making fun of my obesity, my job, my car, my girlfriend, my dog, my beer hobby, my spending habits, the way I mod my car. It was incessant. And so I just stopped posting there. Eventually, a guy messaged me via YouTube and told me, you know, by the way, the 3 or 4 guys have been banned. They're no longer there. And whatever, you know, with the standing behind ECS and not nipping it in the bud when Vortex could have, and by standing by these asshole users that don't pay any money to be there and probably use ad blockers, Vortex spoke pretty loudly in that they didn't want my participation in the community. So what happened was, I got a message from someone recently. I got an email, Vortex email, and it said, you know, where have you been? Or I think it was a YouTube email or something. Where have you been? Messaged you a while ago on Vortex, you never responded. So I logged into Vortex for the first time in months, and I have like 15 messages since then. 15 messages that weren't the ones of like, hey, where are you? But, you know, you guys that follow me on YouTube, you know where I am. So I'm just going to keep doing it here. I can, I moderate all the comments. Only the nice ones get through. So you should see how much stuff I delete a day that's just, you know, dickheads. So I thought it would be interesting to answer some of these questions. Because, and man, we took us, what, 8 minutes to get here, or 7 minutes to get here? I'm sorry about that. But so I held these messages, and I started responding to them, and I did reply to all of them, but I thought that some of these were actually pretty important questions, I guess. And so a lot of you guys have just started reading, watching my videos, you know, recently, and there's like 2 years of stuff, you know, from Volkswagen stuff that you've missed, and maybe some of you have gone back and watched those, but a lot of questions here. So I thought I would answer them here. And I'm sorry it took me so long to get to this point to do a Q&A, but I think it was important that I address why I wasn't on Vortex anymore, because it is a question that I got, you know, pretty often. So there's that. So Vortex, you know, accept money from your users. I would pay $30 a year to join Vortex and not receive ads and not see posts from ECS or APR, and, you know, be your actual customer and not be a product that you sell to people. And that would be nice. I would like to be your customer, not an advertiser. So keep that in mind and let me know. So here's the questions. We've got, looks like 5, 6, 7 of them. So let's just go through them one by one. This is from James. I recently installed a downpipe along with the Unitronic Stage 2 ECU and TCU software. However, the ECU tune is extremely underwhelming, and I plan on utilizing their money-back guarantee. I'm coming from a Mark 6 Stage 2 Plus APR that was thrilling, such accelerating to drive. My Stage 2 MK7 or Mark 7 feels reluctant and sluggish by comparison. So I'm thinking that Unitronic has played it in a little too conservatively for this generation. Do you happen to have experience with Unitronic tuned MK7? Reading some of your descriptions of your UM tunes sounds like a totally different animal from what I'm experiencing. Any regrets or reservations regarding your UM tunes? That's kind of what I was going to answer with the last question. But I almost actually grabbed the Unitronic file when I was at Bureaucracy in Montreal, because at that point, and still the Canadian dollar is so weak, that I was going to just do it because I think it was going to be like $500 US to switch over from UM to Unitronic. From what I heard was that most of the Unitronic, most of the tunes, Unitronic, UM, and APR, all three of those are pretty similar, because we're not, none of them are requiring even an air intake, right? They're not requiring high pressure fuel pumps or downpipes or air intakes for stage 1. It's just roll on in out of VW and just come right into our shop and we'll give you a tune for $799 or $800. So with that said, I wouldn't say that the Unitronic tune is sluggish, only because the assumption they're pretty much doing the same things between all three companies. Similarly things, right? I would say though, if I were this person, this was 7 months ago, I would have done their money back, gotten your refund within 30 days and gone over to UM and tried it out. It kind of sucks to hop around because the shops end up paying the money, because they're paying shop time to tune your car. They're not getting their commission, but if that's how you feel, then I would certainly do that. I love my UM tune. It produced a lot more power initially. The power has dropped because they released a file middle of last year where they reduced the PSI. I was hitting at 28.5, 29 PSI peaks, and now I hit 25.5, 26. So power definitely dropped, but it's better for the engine is what they were told me. So I'm very happy with it. I probably would not at this point switch to anyone else now that I've noticed Unitronic has a history within the VW community of sticking to their tunes, sticking to the platform. They still take care of the Mark IV R32 guys. They are doing more software where you can customize the tune, without having to go to a dealer, and which I'll never do because I trust the file that Jeff made. And then finally, they're supporting pretty much any turbo that you bring to them. They'll make you a tune for it. So they're all in on Mark 7s, and they're a very small company, and they're doing a lot of stuff. APR has decided to go the route of, you're going to buy our $10,000 package, well, $6,000 plus the fuel system for $3,000, plus the tune, plus the downpipe, plus the intake, a few other things, and that's all we're going to sell you. There's no modifications to it. There's no, you can't veer off this course. UM is saying, hey, bring us your tired and poor and homeless, and we'll tune it. So I'm very happy with UM. I'm going to stick with them. When I do get a bigger turbo, once the car's paid for, I will stay with UM. Mostly because their TCU tune is remarkable. I mean, I have no experience with other companies, but they've done great things with the DSG that just wake the car up and make it totally a different animal. So that's my answer. Number 2, this is from Andrew. Thanks for posting all the videos. They're great and informative. I have a few questions. I live in Phoenix, so an APR intercooler is for sure in my future. I would agree. My question revolves around the Spulen pipe kit that you have. Would you recommend them, and what did you... so let's stop there. APR intercooler, I don't really care about the gains. I care about the fact that charged air cools off significantly faster. The APR intercooler is heavier than the stock one, so you add a lot of front weight. It's bigger. It's actually taller than you need to. When you look at the graphs, the hot air kind of goes to the bottom of the intercooler, and the top kind of stays wasted. But it's a full kit, and the reason why I didn't do front mount is because I'd rather hit a raccoon or a deer and damage my radiator than hit those same things and damage my front mount intercooler, which is sitting down in the lower engine. Radiators are super cheap, intercoolers are not, so that's why I did the APR when it's full size. Why not Unitronic? I don't know. I think APR was, I think I found a deal on it or something, but it's been wonderful, So back to the Spulen pipes. I did the throttle, the turbo outlet and the throttle inlet, is that right? Pipes from Spulen, and they claim like 5 horsepower per 12 each or something like that, 12 together. gains. Again, it's not about the horsepower. It's just about improving airflow. The fitment was perfect. The install was really easy as long as you have a lift. I'm sure with jack stands it's probably fine. Every 10,000 miles I inspect to make sure the connection is into the intercooler, into the turbo, and the engine are sound. No problems. Actually, you know, after I first installed, I did take it to an independent shop to do the intercooler, and they mentioned the Spulen throttle pipe was a little loose, but I think that was user error. But the fitment's great. It's fine as long as you tighten down the clamp tight enough. And then he finishes with, so yeah, the APR and Spulen do marry up just fine. And then that was it. Oh, did you get the APR silicone hoses for the intercooler? No, I did not. I just got the intercooler and the Spulen, used the Spulen hoses. For the air intake setup, it's a VW 600 intake going into an ECS intake hose, silicone hose. And then soon that's going to be married to a Leo Motorsport turbo inlet, 90-degree elbow, because the stock one is pretty small and it's pretty restrictive. All right, question 3. Sorry to bother you. I had a question about the Avanti Headrests wheels you have in your Golf R. Winter setup, I was looking at the same wheels and tire rack, and they're showing it's not compatible with the R. I had a talk with one of their support reps. He said that the width and offset would rub against the calipers. I'm guessing he's full of BS. Just wondered if you could confirm that's not the case. I told the guy it's not. He also asked if I had spacers, and I said no, not anymore. I do know initially ECS was just throwing 17-inch wheels to Golf R owners like there was a fire sale, and a lot of those 17-inch wheels did not fit the stock either GTI Performance Pack brakes / Golf R brakes, rotors and calipers. They became pretty conservative on the kind of wheels that they recommend. I caught the middle of that where they had just thrown a bunch of wheels off the eligible list for the Golf R, and there was a bunch still remaining that are now gone. Maybe they just got super conservative about it and they decided just not to sell those, but I can confirm the Avanti Hyperses are like $150 a wheel, and they're great. I've hit tons of potholes with those things. No bending, nothing at all. I run them from November to May, and they've been great for 2 years now. Saw your video, this is from William, saw your video on oil extraction. I got the Mityvac and did it with great success. My only question is, how do you remove the hose from the extractor? It seemed to have fit really tight and I couldn't seem to remove it. Lots of elbow grease. The hose that goes into the dipstick hole or into the crankcase, whichever one you wanted to put it into. I prefer going into the dipstick hole. Super easy. It's the black piece here in the middle. You just yank it off. The hose that comes off the Mityvac, that one is permanently there. From what I can tell. I mean, I usually just fill it up, take it to the hazardous waste dump, and give them, bring the Mityvac with me. It seals it completely. Keep it upright, take it to there, dump the oil, and then done. But yeah, I have never had to remove that hose actually. I guess if you really want to clean it, fine, but it's an oil holder. It's never really need to keep it super clean. Actually, I still have Heather's oil in the Mityvac from when I did her oil change a month ago, and I'll just put my oil from next week on top of that, and I'll take it to the transfer station. All I have is the guys' usernames. This was KW and K6. I think I asked him a question. I'll just read it out loud. Just past 40,000 miles, 10,000 has been stage 3. Wanted to get some feedback from you on some quarter-mile stuff. I went the other night hoping to break into the 10s, considering APR ran at 10.8 at 124 with the original smaller turbo system. My absolute best friend was 11.7 at 120. How the hell do they run a full second quicker? Mine's DSG, Shell 93, 30 pounds of boost all the way through the power band. Just wanted to know if you have run the quarter mile yet, or know anyone with a setup that has taken it to the track. The only guy I actually know personally is CT Walter that has the stage 3 and the fueling setup, and I don't think he's done a track day with his car at all. It's a fucking fast car, but I invited him up last year to come up to the track with it. I think he wanted to get new tires on first or something. He's always welcome. If he tells me he's coming to the New England Dragway, I will meet him there any day of the week. I'd love to get a video of that car in action, because I really haven't seen any independently owned stage 3 Golf Rs do quarter mile times. So as far as, he also says he's got the sticky Michelin PSS, bolt-ons, fresh plugs, spark plugs, tempo 73, launch control set at 3,000 RPMs. I would add this. I would drop, my plan has always been on the PSS is to drop the PSI of the tires until my time progressively gets worse. In addition to that, I would change the traction control to sport, not off, so you can lock up a bit sooner. So what happens with the full ECS is if your tires don't have grip, the car won't shift. It stays in the current gear until it maintains grip. If you turn a traction control off completely, you're just spinning and it's all power, fully to all four wheels. So traction control sport, it's gonna shift, it's gonna do its thing, but it's gonna allow some ABSing to get you off the line faster. My fastest times are traction control sport, without a doubt. Some may disagree, but that's just my experience. The first I know about the tires, I've never gotten to test, because the problem is my first run at the dragway is the best run of the night. And I'll go back to the parking area, I'll run the car for 2 minutes, turn it off, let the hydraulics and all the coolant run through the turbo, let it all chill off about 20 minutes, go back on the quarter-mile strip, and I'll run like a half-second worse time. And this happens, it gets worse and worse and worse. So I just grabbed a turbo blanket, which I think is going to help me a little bit with helping the engine cool off. But I do think that that if he can keep taking pressure out of the tires, he'll probably have a better experience than with the times. And if you can afford it, get a 17-inch setup with slicks, which is my goal for next summer, not this summer. Be right back. Yeah, I think KW, if you do try to do the approach I took, which was to let the tire pressure out slowly, just take like an hour in between each run. It's the stock turbo, it completely just shits the bed, and the engine bay is so hot. I'm hoping with the turbo blanket from Forge, I can do some more of these runs without the issues with the engine bay. Just being like, I mean, there was a guy last time I was up there in July with an RS4, like a V8 RS4. He was just putting bags of ice on his engine bay to cool it down. So maybe I'll give that a shot. I really don't know. But anyway, that's what I would recommend. I don't know, elevation is a factor, temperature is a factor, all the shit's in your car. Maybe they had a guy that weighs 100 pounds doing these runs and you weigh 400, I have no idea. All kinds of factors play in. A full second seems like a lot, but these little things can really add up, would be my recommendation. So next question from Kev. Good evening. What year, brand, and model Audi headrest have you got for the back of your R? These are the headrests in the back that go completely flat. It is the I think it's the B7A4 headrest. I had the model numbers from the eBay sale I purchased last spring. I will put them in the description if I remember. Someone comment if I did not. They're great. You can see out the back, and it's perfect. There's no obstruction out the back of the window, which is amazing. Rye said, I want to thank you for the great write-up on installing the ThinkWare. I wanted to ask you about the hardware fuse tapping. The yellow one in the photos is tapped. So before I keep reading this, the picture I took in the original write-up is completely incorrect. I ended up changing it like 6 weeks later, and I changed it again recently. So do not rely on me for ThinkWare wiring diagrams. But I do recall that someone posted in that thread an updated wiring diagram, and that one works. I tested it out a few days ago, so do that. And I think he used the wiring things you buy off Amazon that are actual fuse wires. Those are much nicer than just what I did was wrapping the wire from the ThinkWare kit into the existing fuse itself. So that one's taken care of now. Okay, 3 more questions, I think. 4 more questions. Ed says, I caught your YouTube and post on the steering wheel wrap and found the how-to to be super helpful, but I have a few questions. By the way, that is my most downvoted or disliked YouTube video about Golf R's is the steering wheel one. I don't know why, to be honest. Maybe because it's too long. Maybe because people think it looks just disgusting. I don't know, but it's even though it's 50-50. 40 upvotes, 40 downvotes, or something. Question 1, when you pop the airbag off, how is it that you're able to rotate the steering wheel without it locking up like it normally does when the car is parked? I believe I had the car in neutral, then turned the power off, engaged the parking brake, and then was able to turn this without locking up. If you just turn it off normally and you go for a full rotation, it will lock. So I would recommend doing it in neutral and turning it off. And is it because you have your car in ACC? Start non on? What's the trick? Yeah, that's it. Twitch 2, you mentioned replacing the center bolt. Why is that? Why not reuse the original? You have a part number for this bolt. I do have a part number. I'll put it below. Part number was super cheap. I bought it from like Smith VW or one of those New England VW company dealers that has the parts on their website. As long as you know the part number. I watched maybe 10 YouTube videos on how to do things to the steering wheel, either replace an airbag or replace plastic or do kind of modifications. All of them mentioned that a VW, or two or three of them mentioned a VW tech saying to them that bolt is one-time use only. When you take the bolt out, there's a lot of blue Loctite on it, and it's a one-time use bolt. And while I don't think the normal person should replace the bolt, I think it was $3.50 and $5 shipping from a place in like Rhode Island or Massachusetts to ship it to me. When it comes to safety, like steering wheels, steering columns, braking, airbag deployments, or what's another one? Door locking, those kind of things, latches. If it says to replace the whole thing, I just replace the whole thing, especially if it's a $3 bolt. So if you want to put some Loctite on it and put it on yourself, totally fine. Do you have a specific vendor for the bolt? Yes, I do. So I will. But I think actually what you should do is just Google search the part number and just go for one that has enough Google shopping reviews and has free shipping or something. And yeah, I got a question from a guy about Wookies beer swap. I didn't go to Wookies in the Woods, but I'm happy to know that the beer that I brought last year was appreciated enough for some guy in March to be like, dude, bring more Vermont beer. That was amazing. So so thank you for getting back to me on that. Raf, center exit exhaust. Just got a question. So I saw you install I'm going to butcher this, Zuji, XUJI steering wheel wrap on your car. I bought a fatter steering wheel, but I have DAP, and the wheel they gave me didn't have DAP or the buttons for it. I just need to remove the trim and buttons and install it on the new wheel. Did you remove the trim to install the steering wheel wrap on yours? If you did, give me instructions. So Heather technically is the one that installed the wrap on the steering wheel, and when I removed the steering wheel, I did not remove any trim. Looking back, probably should have, because it would have allowed us to get the steering wrap completely flush, and then we could have put the trim over it. But instead what we did was we actually used a small flat screwdriver or needle, and we pushed the trim underneath the plastic trim. In a couple of cases, I actually scratched the piano black plastic trim along the edge of the steering wheel underneath where your hands go. And in other cases, we actually tore the leather trying to get under there. And I think it would have been a good idea, dog food time, it would have been a good idea to remove the trim. If someone figures out how to do it or has a video that shows how to do it, let me know, and I will reply to Raph and give it to him. He actually sent me that recently. I don't know what that had to do with center exit exhaust. Maybe he was replying to the thread that we were talking about a while back. Okay, Dan says, I'm in the market for a... you guys, you got to stop using DP for downpipe. It drives me crazy. If a guy on the internet named Dan sends you an email that says, I'm in the market for a DP, it's just hard to read it out loud without turning into a little child. He's in the market for a downpipe finally. I'm pretty sure I'm going to go with the Bull X. I just wanted to see how you like it. I know you have owned it for a while now. Did you get a CEL running it? I've heard that Bull X doesn't throw a code because of the nice cat it has on it. Let me know. Thanks, Dan. So Dan, I got your DP for you. I don't know if you didn't follow the build thread, my initial impressions of the Bull X was don't get one. Everyone else that reached out to me that has one has not had the issues. But essentially, when I put the Bull X on myself, I get a constant rattle. Basically, what happens when you put the car in reverse, things shift. The way I was explained to me, the engine shifts a little bit. It pushes the whole either the drive shaft or the Bull X up slightly, and it rattles against the heat shield underneath the seats of the console, center console. I've had that issue since day one, and I manipulated the heat shield a bit, and the solution was actually buying titanium heat wrap and wrapping the whole downpipe. It still rattles, but it's a muted rattle, and I just don't floor it when I'm in reverse. I put it in reverse and lightly back up, and I usually don't have issues. When I'm trying to back up a hill, it will rattle like crazy because it's sending some power to the rear wheels. No one else said this issue except for me, so I'm not going to discount it and say you shouldn't get one for that. The manual design that sells it in the U.S., they totally just dismissed it and said, they didn't say go fuck yourself, but they said, no one else having the problem. Sounds like an installer error. We're not going to replace it for you. I went to 3 separate VW installers over the course of 6 months. None of them could fix it, and so I'll never buy from manual design anymore. Even though they don't make the Bull X downpipes, they are supposed to stand by their work as a retailer and return, refund, replace. And they didn't do that. They weren't willing to do that. So like ECS, those guys can go fuck themselves. But I hear the Bullux product is great. I just wouldn't buy from a manual design again. And if you're in the US, you'll probably have to go through them. Now, I did hear they have a shop. So if you're in SoCal, they will install the Bullux for you for a small fee. I don't think it's as much as it would cost to go to a dealership or another shop. So, have them install it, put it in reverse, peel out of the parking lot. If it doesn't rattle, then you're good to go. If it does, then, tell them Adam sent you and, pee in their Cheerios or whatever you can do to make my case stronger for them. As far as the CEL goes, yeah, so what I did was I threw the downpipe on, then drove 100 miles down to the nearest United Motorsport dealer 3 days later, and I drove the car for 3 days with just the downpipe on it. No check engine light, no issues at all. You feel immediate power gains in the turbo spool, even without a tune. But I did get the catted one with the high flow 300 cell cat. I just look at it as if I ever get rid of the car and the guy wants the downpipe and lives in New York, then he's probably going to want to have a catalytic converter on there. Or if he doesn't want to smell like rotten eggs when he's driving around town, then also he should have a cat. But yeah, I've had no issues with it at all. Love it. Just wish it didn't vibrate when I backed up. That's pretty much the only problem I've had with it. Everything else went really well. Also, the manual design install guide was really shitty. It didn't have really enough, information. So now I'm sure they have some kind of install guides, which is why I did a big Vortex thread about the Bullux downpipe, because I felt like I had been kind of, left on my own there for installing this myself, and I had to take a lot of pictures because their guide is only for the GTI, which doesn't involve a gigantic 4-inch around drive shaft that goes through, where the downpipe goes. So that's all the questions I had from that were relevant to respond to for 9 months of not logging into Vortex. If you have more questions, let me know. This is not going to turn into some kind of like Ask Dap show, but I'm happy to answer them. I usually answer them in the comments, but maybe I should start doing these kind of videos for you all. Thanks so much for watching. I'm going to go make some chicken and have a nice weekend.